Welcome back. Today we're starting our second lesson, 5-2. So our learning target for today, we want to learn how to describe the relative maximums and relative minimums of polynomials. Excuse me. So far we've talked about four things. Putting it in a standard form, naming it by degree and number of terms, and describing its end behavior. And today, now we get to add the fifth element, relative maxes and relative minimums. So the cool thing is, I don't require you to do any algebra for this. This is all actually on the calculator. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice how do we do this using graphing calculators. If you have one at home, please have it out in front of you right now so you can be going through this with me. If you don't have one accessible, I want you to follow along with these steps right here, because it'll help you along the way to determine what you need to do these. So, on your calculator, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph. So I'm going to go in here to y equals. Now your variable is this button right here. So whenever you have to hit an x, you're using that button right there. Okay, so x squared minus 2x and minus 8. So once you have that, now I'm going to hit the graph button. All right, so there's my graph. And what a relative maximum or minimum is, as you should know, is it's either at the top or bottom of a curve. So right here, this point right here is going to be my relative minimum, okay? Compared to the rest of the function, it is the bottom. And the cool thing is I can get the calculator to calculate that for me. So whenever you want your calculator to look at your graph and do a calculation for you, that is going to be this command right here, that calc command. So, to get to it, you have to press second first, then go in there. And you should see a menu like this. We are searching for the minimum value. Well, minimum is at option number 3. So if I hit enter now, it is programmed that it is now going to help me find the minimum. The first thing it's going to say is a left bound. So if we believe our minimum is right here, we want to be to the left of it, which we already are. So I'm going to hit enter. Now if you notice the command switched, it wants a right hand bound. So I'm going to scroll until I'm past it, till I'm to the right of it, then hit enter. This next one is just giving you a guess, saying, hey, this is probably approximately it. You just want to hit enter one more time, and then it'll actually do the calculation. And here you can see it's calculating it to be 1, -9. Okay, so that is the minimum point. All right, so, and I believe I already indicated that for you on here, or maybe I did. No, I did not. So the relative minimum is going to be the point 1, -9. So the calculator can actually do that for us for any graph. And in this case, we're just worried about polynomials. But any polynomial, we can get the calculator to do it for us. So let's keep going with this. So let's try another one. So I'm going to go, and I want to find that minimum and maximum. So I'm going to go back to my calculator, go back to graph, and I'm going to clear out the graph that I have because I'm going to type a new one. I want to type in x cubed. So x and then cubed is actually in the math function, all right? So that's how you get to the cubed. So x cubed plus x squared minus 6x. So I type it in, then I'm going to go to the graph. All right, so here's my graph. Now this time I notice I have a maximum and a minimum. So this is a cubic function, and it actually has both a maximum and it has a minimum. So I'm going to have two separate calculations to do here, okay? So let's focus on the maximum first, all right? So I'm going to go back to the calculate list. And notice maximum is a separate command. So you do have to know which one you're looking for it to calculate properly, okay? So I'm going to start with the maximum. So that means I know it's going to be about right there. So I need to get left of that point. So I scroll to the left. Oh, there we go, to the left of it now. So I hit enter. It's asking me for a right-hand guess. So I need to go to the right of it now. Oh, a little far. To the right of it, hit enter. And it's telling me negative 1.79 approximately and 8.21. Okay, so in your notes, I believe I already gave you that value. So your calculator should be saying this. So that is your relative maximum. You would indicate it as the point. All right? And then for the minimum, well, we have to go back. So restart our command. So go back to calculate. This time we're searching for that minimum. So I go to min. So I'm focusing on this point right here. I need a left bound point, so I'm going to get close to it, but definitely staying to the left. Get a right hand point, hit enter one more time. And here I get about 1.12, negative 4.06. And if you look in your notes, again, I've already labeled that point out for you. So here, the awesome thing is, the calculator will do all the work for you. You just have to go and know the process, know how to get to those commands. So, let's do a technology example. So the design of a digital box camera maximizes the volume while keeping the sum of the dimensions at 6 inches. If the length must be 1.5 times the height, it can be modeled by an equation, y equals negative 3.75x cubed plus 9x squared, where y is volume and x is the height. What should the dimensions be to maximize the volume? All right. So we have an equation. So let's go and use our calculator. So I'm going to type in negative 3.75 x, go into math to get to the cubed, and plus 9x squared. Oh, sorry, squared. So let's graph it. Oh, I still have my cubes there. All right, so if I'm trying to maximize volume, and y is the volume, so I'm trying to maximize that, well, that maximum going to occur right there. So I need to calculate, so go to calc, the maximum. I need a left hand bound and a right hand bound. Right, so the maximum is at 1.6 approximately, and it leaps for an air or for a volume of 7.68. All right, so the maximum occurred when x is 1.6. Now x is representing the height. So the dimensions, well, the height going to be 1.6 inches. It says here the length must be 1.5 times the height. So the length is going to be 1.5 times 1.6. So whip out your calculators and let's figure that one out. So 1.5 times 1.25 times 1.6 is going to give you 2.4. So the length is 2.4 inches. So we still need the length. Well, there's nothing really telling us the length except this. The sum of the dimensions is 6 inches. All right, so the sum of the dimensions, so 1.6 plus 2.4 plus that width has to be 6. All right, so this is already 4. So that must mean the width is going to be 2 inches. All right, but again, the whole thing started just by using the calculator to find that relative maximum. So last, but certainly not least, let's go and find all of these things. Let's put this all together. So standard form, well, the cool thing is it's actually already in standard form. Right? So we don't have to worry about that. Name by degree, well, it has a degree of 3. So that means it's cubic. It's named by number of terms. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So that makes it a trinomial. Its end behavior. All right, its end behavior, well, it's a cubic, which is odd, and it's positive. So an odd positive looks like that. So it's going to be down, going up. Relative maxes or mins. So this we need the calculator for. All right. So let's graph it. So clear out what we have. X cubed plus 2x squared plus 2. Let's see what that looks like. All right, looks like we have a maximum right there. So I'm going to calculate that maximum. I need to get to the left of it and get to the right of it. Hit enter one more time, and there we go. Negative 1.33 and 3.19. So we have a max at negative 1.33, and I forgot the other one, 3.19. So now let's focus on the min. The min is going to be this point right here. So let's go back into calculate and go down to the min. So this time I'm going to surround that point from the left and from the right. All right. So here we have negative 1.3. Now this, if you ever get this, e to the negative 6. So essentially this is a very awkward scientific notation. What your calculator is really trying to tell you is that it's occurring at 0. Okay? So that mumbo jumbo, sometimes the calculator just confuses itself. So that is really 0 and 2. Right? So we have a min occurring at 0, 2. And that is putting together everything we've covered in this chapter thus far. So, what I'd like you to do is write a summary. So here, write a summary about how you're going to keep all these techniques straight, how you're going to work with all these different things. Because we're covering a lot of different vocab here, and we need to make sure that we're keeping it straight. So again, please take a few moments, write that summary for me, then come back ready to do your practice work.